This is the 2022 Volvo XC60. Now on the face of it, it's the same old car, but under the skin, it has got some crucial updates. What are they? Well, we have the car with us today, so let's find out.
You're watching the autoX YouTube channel. You can also get your daily dose of all things automotive on our website, autox.com, and follow us on social media. Don't forget to check out our monthly magazine and make sure to hit the bell and subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
On the surface, it's the same old car, which means it is the second generation model of the XC60. Now, this came out in 2017, so it's based on the same platform, that is SPA, Volvo's scalable product architecture, which underpins all the new age Volvos. And that means it's still as brilliant, it still looks as cool, and I think it is one of the best looking Volvos in the business. In fact, it is one of the best looking mid-size luxury SUVs out there. Now in terms of design, well, the changes are quite minor. It doesn't actually feel like a new car. It just has a new grille and a new bumper, and at the back you'll find that the exhaust tips are not visible. So it has a cleaner look, and yeah, one more change, it has got new alloy wheels. These are 19-inch wheels, new design, but overall the changes are missable in the sense if you find it driving on the road, you're not going to make out if this is the 2022 version. So on that front, the changes are minimal. But the biggest change is, well, it is under the bonnet, because this car no longer has a diesel engine. It gets an all-new engine, which is a 2-liter petrol engine that comes with mild hybrid tech. So this one develops 247 bhp and 350 Newton meters of torque. As for the things inside the cabin, well, again, it's the same old car. It feels as sumptuous as the old car, but this has got a new touchscreen infotainment system. As in, the system is also the same. It's a 9-inch vertical screen, but it's Google powered now. So that means the onboard infotainment, well, it functions just like a Google tab, which means it is like Android Auto. So you get all the features there. You get Google Assistant, you get Google Maps, everything on the touchscreen. So these are the changes to speak of. Well, if you care about the environment, of course, this is a better engine. But in terms of outright grunt, I still think the diesel had an edge over this one. But having said that, of course, it's a petrol, so you get more refinement. And in terms of performance also, I think this is a very decent engine. Now, the thing is, it comes with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. So that means at low speeds, you have that integrated starter generator feeding power, giving you that sort of assistance at low speeds. So in terms of lag, there is not a lot of lag, and the XC60 moves very effortlessly at low speeds. At the same time, it's quite silent also, so when you're driving it in the city, it's very refined. Having said that, when you start pushing it, well, of course, there is performance, but it doesn't feel as sprightly as something from a BMW X3 or even the new Audi Q5. Well, this motor is all about comfort, all about leisure driving, and even the 8-speed transmission, it's very smooth, but then it doesn't like to be rushed. The other thing is, it doesn't get paddle shifters. So if you are in a mood to drive in a very sprightly manner, even then you can't do that, because the gearbox takes its own sweet time. So the missing paddle shifters, well, of course you do miss it when you're driving enthusiastically. But overall, this engine, you just let it do its own thing, and it is quite refined. It is a really smooth powertrain, and overall, if you're driving it in the city or even on the highway, you won't have any complaints, because this has ample performance. It has everything in store. Of course, it doesn't excite you. It's not snappy in that sense, but for its kind of usage, this is a luxury SUV. You're not going to hustle it around corners. You're not going to be doing drag races. In that sense, it is sort of a perfect car, and it calms you down. It doesn't set your pants on fire. So the driving experience, well, it is quite calming. It is quite soothing in the way how it drives, and I think it's quite enjoyable in that regard. Now, you might expect this being a mild hybrid car, it will have probably great fuel efficiency. Well, that is the case if you're driving it like this, leisurely at 60-70 kilometers per hour. Then you'll probably see on a full tank, this is a 71 liters tank, so you'll see a range close to 850 kilometers. And that was the case when I got the car. It came with a tank full, and the range was 820 kilometers. However, the moment you start thrashing it, well, that's when the efficiency calms down, and it calms down significantly, because I drove this car yesterday around 50 kilometers, and the range, like I said, was 820 kilometers. But then it dropped to 560 kilometers, and I only did close to 30 kilometers. Of course, that did involve some pedal to metal sort of driving, but then that was a huge drop in the range. Now again, I have started driving leisurely, and the range is back to 480 kilometers. I've done close to 100 kilometers since yesterday, but then again, I've been driving on the highway. So that's the thing with these engines, these small petrol engines. When you put a 2-liter turbo in a car this big, well, they are quite efficient if you drive it leisurely. But the moment you start thrashing them, the moment you start asking for performance, well, that's when these engines are quite thirsty. And you really have to wring it by the neck, because that's how you're going to get the performance, and that means the fuel efficiency is going to take a hit. That's what's been happening with this car, and that's where you probably would miss a diesel, because the diesels are efficient, and if you want performance, well, they have enough performance. But then as things look today, it's not looking very bright for diesels, and probably we won't have diesels in these cars anymore. So diesels are a thing of past now, and this is what we have to live with. In that sense, I don't think there's a lot to complain about. The XC60 is meant for luxury, comfort, and it doesn't like to be pushed around corners. So this is not the sort of car that, you know, you'll go corner carving. I think in that respect, this is a neutral handler. It doesn't enjoy to be thrown around corners. There is prominent body roll, and when you go around corners like really fast, you can see the car leaning towards one side. So that's the thing, because this car is tuned towards comfort, and that's how it behaves. So in terms of ride and handling, this is more of a comfy cruiser. At the same time, the handling is quite predictable. It's not that it's lousy, but it just doesn't feel as dialed in as a X3 or a Q5 in fact. So in that respect, it's very soft, it's very pliant, and it is quite comfortable. The steering is quite nice. It is light but predictable, and it weighs up nicely when you're doing high triple-digit speeds. So on highways, it is confidence-inspiring as well. So in terms of dynamic abilities also, I don't think there's anything to complain about the XC60, given the kind of audience it's targeting. Coming back to the ride quality, there's not much to complain about. At low speeds, it's really good, and you don't feel anything from the outside world. You go over speed breakers, it is very absorbent, and it feels very luxury car-like. However, once the speed rises, well, that's when you feel there's a lot of vertical movement, in the sense when the road is perfect, smooth tarmac, you won't have any complaints. But when the road is wavy, you can feel the suspension. There's a lot of vertical movement, and you're being jostled around inside the cabin. So in that respect, I think at high speeds, especially around 120 or speeds over that, well, that's when it feels a little floaty, in the sense there's a lot of vertical movement. But below those speeds, it's quiet, it's refined, and it is supple. So again, in terms of luxury and comfort, I think the Volvo XC60 has all the boxes ticked, and quite comfortably. In terms of creature comforts, well, I think this is where Volvo has done a lot of homework, and the car is packed with virtually everything. Now, especially coming back to the touchscreen, it is quite good, it is quite refined, it's very crisp, and I think the integration of Google Apps in here, well, that makes sense, because I've been saying it for the longest time, you need integrated Google Maps in cars, because however good your technology is, you can't match Google. So Volvo has done a clever thing. They've partnered up with Google, and now you have Google Apps, so it feels exactly like an Android phone, like Android Auto, and you can just monitor everything from here. The greatest thing is that Google Maps are replicated on the driver display, which is a 12.3-inch screen right in front of you. So you get your Google Maps right here. Again, a great feature, and I think this is a clever thing, and I absolutely love the features that this car has. Some of the niggles, of course, continue to be there, like the air conditioning controls are still in the touchscreen, so it is a bit of a bother. Among new features, well, yes, it also gets an air purifier, and that is needed in a city like Delhi, where air pollution levels are really, really bad. And apart from that, you also get a Bowers & Wilkins 15-speaker sound system, kick-ass audio. So again, in terms of luxuries, this car is fully loaded. There is also ventilated front seats, and I think overall in terms of comfort, this car is second to none because these seats are so sumptuous and comfortable. Same goes for rear seat passengers. It is quite comfortable. It is a bit tight though, but overall I think for its segment, it is quite good. In terms of practicality, in terms of comfort, well, yes, the XC60 is a very, very decent package. I think overall speaking, the XC60, the only limitation it has is that it's not as popular as the Germans. So most of the luxury car buyers will be inclined to buy a Mercedes, BMW or Audi because again, they have a wider service network and they have more dealerships across the country. So in terms of dealer network, well, yes, the XC60 lags behind that, but that's not a car problem, right? It is Volvo's problem. So if you want a proper mid-size premium SUV that stands out, that is comfortable to drive on an everyday basis, that has performance and that keeps you calm and that keeps you comfortable wherever you go, I think the XC60 is a great option. And it comes with all the luxury features. It is available in just a single inscription trim. It's priced at around 62 lakh ex-showroom. So you get all the bells and whistles in this car. You don't have to go for optional stuff. Most of the stuff is here, whatever you need. So that's again a clever thing because Volvo's offering the car in just a single spec. And I think that makes sense because when you're buying a car this expensive, you want everything in the car. You don't want to be left behind. So yes, it is an expensive car, but you get all the gizmos. And if you want to stand out, if you want a proper car, a proper all-rounder, I think the XC60, well, it definitely has an edge over its rivals.